50 Kids Bedtime Stories, Volume 2, Enchanting Stories to Spark Sweet Dreams. Spark your child's imagination with our collection of captivating bedtime stories, crafted to inspire wonder and creativity. Each tale is filled with adventure, valuable life lessons, and heartwarming characters that will soothe them into a peaceful sleep. Perfect for nightly bonding, these stories encourage kindness, curiosity, and sweet dreams, making bedtime a magical experience every night.
Copyright notice. 50 Kids Bedtime Stories, Volume 2. Copyright Fuder Buenaventura. All rights reserved.
Sophie and the Silly Socks. Sophie loved socks. Not just any socks, silly socks. Her sock drawer was filled with socks of every color, pattern, and shape imaginable. There were socks with polka dots, socks with stripes, socks that looked like zebras, and even a pair that played music when she walked. She wore silly socks every day, and they always made her smile. But one morning, something strange happened. Sophie opened her drawer to pick out her favorite pair of rainbow socks with tiny dancing elephants, only to find they were gone. In fact, all her socks were missing. Instead, there was just a small note that said, "We've had enough. The silly socks." Sophie blinked. "My socks," left a note. She didn't have time to figure it out. Today was Silly Sock Day at school, and she couldn't show up without a pair of her signature silly sock. Determined to solve the mystery, Sophie grabbed her magnifying glass, because every good detective needs one, and set off on an adventure around the house. She searched under her bed, inside her closet, and even in the laundry basket. No socks. Then, she noticed a small trail of fuzzy threads leading out the door and down the hallway. A sock trail. Sophie followed the threads to the kitchen, where she found her dad making pancakes. "Dad, have you seen my silly socks?" Sophie asked, eyes wide with curiosity. "Nope," her dad replied, flipping a pancake, "but I did hear some giggling coming from the living room earlier." Giggling? Sophie hurried to the living room. When she got there, she gasped. There, in the middle of the room, was the most unusual sight. All her silly socks were dancing. The rainbow elephant socks were twirling around with her polka-dotted socks, while the musical socks tapped along to a beat. "Hey, you're supposed to be in my drawer," Sophie exclaimed, laughing despite herself. The socks stopped dancing and looked at her, their fabric faces wrinkled in what looked like sock grins. "We're tired of being stuffed in a drawer," said the rainbow socks, wiggling. "We want to have fun, too." "But you do have fun," Sophie replied. "I wear you every day to make my outfits silly." "We know," said the polka-dotted socks, hopping closer. "But we want to have our own fun sometimes. Dancing, playing, being silly together." Sophie thought for a moment. It was true, she loved wearing silly socks, but maybe her socks needed some time to be silly all on their own. "All right," Sophie said with a smile. "You can have a dance party every night. But you have to come back to my drawer before morning." The socks cheered and bounced around happily. They promised to return to their drawer every morning, as long as they could dance through the night. Sophie agreed, laughing at the idea of her socks having secret parties when she was asleep. From then on, Sophie's silly socks had the best of both worlds, making Sophie smile during the day and having spectacular dance parties at night.